Good afternoon, Aryeh and Ruth. You're two lawyers in Israel, and you have done something which is quite exceptional. It's filed in the Court of International Law in The Hague for a violation of the Nuremberg Code. Your article has been published in many, I would say, alternative media, not a lot in mainstream media. We have the pleasure to have you for the FranceSoir viewers this evening. And also we have Haim Yativ, who we've interviewed before. He's an engineer and who's been working on debunking the I would say, vaccination data. But I would welcome the opportunity, Aryeh and Ruth, for you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit, the type of law you're practicing, and how you approach the pandemic.
Okay, we are lawyer of a land law in Israel. We practice real estate.
My name is Ruth.
And Eric. And when the pandemic began, we saw that there are a lot of questions that arising from the things that going on with government and with the instruction of the government, with quarantine, masks, and we start to ask questions and we don't get the answers. So we start looking answers in the internet, in scientific magazine, and we learn that something is going wrong with this pandemic.
I would like to add, when the vaccination in Israel started, the first thing we did, we looked at a brochure that the FDA advertised. When you really look at what's written in the FDA brochure, you realize that this vaccination that supposedly is approved is not really approved. Basically, it's in stage clinical trial 3. The citizens in Israel were informed that this is a vaccination that was approved. This is not true, and we confirmed it by the brochure of the FDA and the information that the FDA provide. And usually to approve a vaccination, it should take between 10 to 15 years. In this case, it hasn't been a year since the pandemic started, and they already have a vaccine. And this raises major questions. How can they vaccinate the whole population of Israel when it's only 1 year since the pandemic started without doing the legal procedure of approving the vaccination? And
if I may interrupt, before we talk about the consequence, did you just have some few questions about yourself? Did you get the COVID? Did you get the disease yourself?
I'm not sure. I had a seasonal flu. I'm sure if I would go to the hospital in Israel, they evaluate me immediately. You have COVID-19. I was sick for a couple of days at home. Our son was approved as COVID-19. We got it from him. So most likely, they would say the doctor would say, yes, this is COVID. But I was sick for a couple of days. I took some medicine and I rested for 2 days and I was fine. And that's the same with our child. Everything today is COVID. All of a sudden, there's no flu. This year, nobody's sick with the flu. What happened? Every single thing is a COVID. People don't die from cancer. They don't suffer from flu, seasonal flu. Everything is COVID-19.
So, sorry, Aryeh, you want to say?
Yeah, we saw that they are playing with numbers because the rate of death in Israel didn't go up from 2019 to 2020. But the government are playing with numbers. They are shifting the rates of death from a regular disease like flu or a heart attack, and they are shifting it to corona. So we feel that it's not a real pandemic. There is something behind these numbers, and they are frightening the people like it's the end of humanity with this corona. And we think and we see in reality that there is no a pandemic in streets. People are not dying. There is nothing in the streets.
Okay. Just another question. What about the people around you, your friends who are lawyers, and the people in the streets? Because of course you are talking here to French people who probably don't know Israel as much as you do. You know, how do the Israeli people feel, and your friends and your other lawyers? Do they think like yourself?
This is a good question. What's happening here? That the citizens of Israel are divided to two parties. The parties that are support the vaccination and the party that is against the vaccination. And this creates not a pleasant situation because you take our country and you divide the country. It's a conflict between the two type of people that support it or not support it. And it's a conflict. And the government, I think this epidemic is epidemic of fear. The media constantly cause a lot of fear within the population here. They scare the population. If you close the TV and you don't watch TV and you don't read the mainstream news, then, you know, you can live a regular life. It's a pandemic of fear by the media.
Why would the government do that, according to you? Why would the government, you know, go against the people, or, you know, what?
We really don't know what interests are behind this, but we feel that there is interest not connecting to public health. There is interest of big pharma and the big vaccination companies to sell the products. It's begin with the corona vaccination, and it will continue with a lot of product of the RNA technology. Okay. We think that there are financial and other interests behind this cold pandemic.
But do you have evidence of those, or these are of their thinking?
It raised questions. We don't have direct evidence, but we raised the questions like we know that, for example, a company named Siemens, that is a German company, that it involved in the Wuhan laboratory. It supplied the equipment there in the Wuhan laboratory. From this lab, allegedly some sort of maybe virus or maybe some sort of things was leaked, we think, was escaped to the world. And this company also deals with creating vaccinations. So maybe there is some sort of connection between the problem of the pandemic and the solution that they are making now to the public. This is the vaccination project.
I think it's like the one who caused the problem is the one who gives the solution. And I would add to it, when they gave the vaccination, nobody knew that you would have to take it every 6 months. Usually, according to Nuremberg Code, before you do the experiment, you need to notify the person who participated in the experiment what he's going to go, what's going to happen to him. Nobody told the people that took the vaccination that they would have to take the vaccination every 6 months for the rest of their life. They've been told that after getting the vaccination. And this is not legal. You should notify the people before and not after they're taking the vaccination. And in the future, we don't know if this vaccination will be for free or maybe they will have to pay for the vaccination. And they were never notified and they didn't know that.
Okay. And so as a consequence of all of this, or I would say hypothesis, analysis, and question, you decided to file for this claim, yeah, in the International Court of Law in La Hague. Why didn't you do any action in Israel, or maybe you did some action in Israel beforehand?
We did. We turned to the Supreme Court in Israel for the same we turned to the court in Israel and we filed a lawsuit regarding violation of Nuremberg Code. Unfortunately, this lawsuit was rejected, but not completely. The reason it was rejected is because we spread, sorry about that, we spread over many subjects because we try to include all the subject that was consequences of the violation of Nuremberg Code. The court asked us to be more specific and just focus on the Nuremberg, and we're gonna amend this lawsuit and file it again to the court specifically only on the Nuremberg Code.
I want to tell you something, to tell you a story. I had at the Supreme Court because I in the past I put a lot of petition at the Supreme Court, and at least twice I had my petition who were rejected because of this reason, okay? But the last petition that I put at the Supreme Court, okay, they told there were as well two subjects, okay? And they said, okay, we were supposed to reject as well this petition, but we won't, because we know that there is something in your petition, okay? So you will choose one of the subjects and we will judge on this subject, okay? And that's what they did, okay? And we won, okay? Because the state retracted. There were an audience and the state retracted. So what I want to tell you here, that the Supreme Court is doing what he wants, okay? If they want to help you, they will help you. And here we are talking about a subject that is of highest importance for the state of Israel, for the Jewish people, and for the humanity. Because what is happening in Israel is happening in all the world after that. Okay?
Yeah. So basically,
I just wanted to you know, to make this clarification.
Thanks a lot, Haim, for this. I think it's important because what you're saying is when you go to the Supreme Court, you need to have your scope very well defined in order for it to be accepted. And it's quite understandable because it's difficult. Otherwise, you judge across different, I would say, topics. And so precision is really important. So what Ruth and Aryeh are telling us is they will start again. So then you decided to go to the International Court of Law in the Hague.
We thought that this problem, it's what happened in Israel, it's a quite universal problem that must be checked with the High Court of the Criminal Court, because they are making a medical experiment on people, a wide range experiment in a new technology without telling the people what are the consequences of this experiment, in what they are dealing with. And they are hiding facts, hiding numbers from the people. They don't tell people that there are alternative treatment to this virus, and they are forcing them to participate in medical experiment. And we thought that this element fits to crime against humanity, because you cannot take people and put them through medical experiment by force, and not telling them that this is an experiment, and not telling them what are the consequences of participating in this medical genetic experiment. I think this is highly important that the Court of Criminal in Hague will decide on these issues.
And we're talking here about pregnant women. We heard about many cases of pregnant women that lost their child because they took the vaccination. They want to vaccinate our children. Even the FDA, didn't allow to make this experiment on children and pregnant women. This is the reason why the Nuremberg Code from the beginning was designed to stop cases like this, cases of doing experiments on pregnant women, on children, on people without letting them know that they are participating in experiment.
And I want to add, there is no justification for such a medical experiment, because this virus is not a little virus. Most of the people don't even feel that they are sick, or they are sick mildly. If you are a healthy person, there is no reason in the world that you should participate in this medical experiment.
Okay. Just to go back, Aryeh and Ruth, of course, you're a lawyer, you're experienced lawyers in a different field, but we're dealing with information and consent of people. When you're a lawyer and you're going to conduct a claim of this nature, you need some facts, you need some data. I've heard you say a lot, we have a certain amount of, we think, we have some data, but do you think you have enough data for the Hague to allow this claim to go further?
Yeah. We think we have also doctors that are behind us that are saying that this medical experiment is very risky, and there is no such justification to do it on a healthy population. And we have the documents of the FDA that the government is doing opposite and saying to the people of Israel opposite things, that it is a safe vaccination, and it's not true. It's not safe. People are don't know what are the future consequences of this genetic experiment, and with such information, I think that people, the government, are just lying to the people.
But of course, you have health authorities. I mean, in Israel, like in all the countries. So what you're saying is that the health authority did not do their job on behalf of the Israeli people?
Yes. Not just don't do their job. They are lying and are forcing the people to take it by making laws that if you don't make the vaccination, you cannot work in places and you cannot enter universities, theaters, leisure places.
So they're discriminating. Okay, so what they're doing is they're doing a discrimination between citizens, and that becomes a human right issue because of discrimination.
Of course.
I would like to add some of the doctors that the government put in the front regarding the COVID-19 are in interest of conflict of interest. They used to work as advisor for Pfizer company, and they got salaries from Pfizer. And I think this shouldn't be this way, that people that getting salaries from Pfizer are going and pushing the citizens of Israel to get the vaccination when they are in a situation of conflict of interest.
And also, there is no free discussion on this project. Doctors that have other opinions are silenced, they are censored, and even the license is taken. Provoked. So I call it a medical dictatorship in Israel.
Okay, well, just to go back, I just heard a few seconds ago that you had some doctors behind you. So in essence, you are representing a group of Israeli people here?
Yes.
How big is this group?
I think that there are a lot of people. We are in association, also association of people of truth, okay. And also a committee of civilians, a committee that inquires into the corona and into the vaccination. We are lawyers and doctors in Israel that has opposite and other opinion than the government.
And we also have a group of people that collecting the evidence from the injured people. And there's a lot of injured people that are coming to our office, and they're asking us to represent them. And it's not like we hear it from a second person that somebody was injured. We see them. There's a 35-year-old woman, a mother for 3 kids, that took the vaccination because she wanted to fly to Paris. And she got paralyzed in half of her body, and she's sitting on a wheelchair today. We see these people, and we're trying to document with a group of people that are doing most of the job of documentation of the injured people.
Just so that I can size it, because I think it's quite important. Is your group like 100 people, 1,000 people?
We have in our group today almost 2,000 people. And there's more and more lawyers and doctors that are joining our group.
Every day the group is widening and widening, because the questions and the questions that arise from this vaccination project is very, very severe. And we see that the people that heard from this vaccination, they are dying, they are paralyzed, and the infections. I think the vaccine project is more dangerous than the virus itself.
And the fact that...
Go on, please, Ruth.
Go ahead.
No, go on.
Yeah.
The fact that students are not allowed to go to university, the fact that the employers prevent people to go to work if they don't vaccinated, the fact you cannot get into the health clubs if you're not vaccinated, you cannot enter restaurants if you're not vaccinated. This takes us back to a very dark period of time.
Yeah, I understand. So if we go back to the claim that you filed, so you filed this claim on behalf of those 2,000 people. Of course, it's I think very interesting that you actually meet with Haim Yativ and Dr. Zeliman, because they've been doing the same type of analysis, and at least you can probably join forces. But let's talk specifically about this claim, because there was some discussion and some debunkers that basically say this claim was not accepted. So today, the status of the claim is it was filed, and then you received an email that basically say this claim has been filed. Is that correct?
Yes, the email says that the claim they accepted it, and they're gonna take their time to decide if they're gonna research this complaint. We got an answer very fast. It was within a week that we got this answer. And I know from other colleagues that told me that usually it takes even months. And in this case, they answer very fast.
But this is what you receive is not an automatic response from an email, according to
No. It's a letter signed by the person who is responsible for doing the research and the investigation. And he says specifically that he's gonna check the information, and he will make a decision if they will find the basis for making investigation. And I also talked to him, and we agreed that I will transfer him more material.
Oh, so you had oral conversation, telephone conversation with him?
Yes.
Because that didn't come across. And what did you say during the course of the conversation? If you can say, of course.
Very short. I just mentioned that I will bring more information, and that this is very urgent for Israel because a lot of people are getting hurt from the vaccination, and including the situation of the pregnant women and the children. They are going to vaccinate our children. And
just coming back to media, you said that there was a lot of censorship in Israel. Was your claim, did you have any media coverage of your claim in Israel?
This is unbelievable. From all the newspapers and the media in Israel, only two reporters decided they're going to advertise this complaint to Hague. Most of them didn't even mention a word about it.
Okay, it's not probably advertising, but probably talk about it, because otherwise advertising means you would pay them. But
this is published.
No, published. Yes, no, I have to say this because advertising is something in the media which is of a different nature, and I'm sure you know that as well. Look, I think, well, first of all, I want to thank you for taking the time to explain all of this to us. We wrote an article about it, and we called it the right to choose. So in essence, what you're saying is the right to choose is linked to information, consent of people, non-discrimination. So you believe that there are the bases which are sufficient for a case of this nature. Of course, it's very important for us that you keep us posted in the development of it. I'd be very happy to interview you again on our channel to keep the French people posted, whether they're Jewish or not. For me, it's not a religion problem from what I hear. And probably my last question to you is, have you liaised with other associations or other people in other countries?
There's Larry Kleiman from Freedom Watch in the United States that we are cooperating with. And there's a group.
There is a group in Germany by Rainer Fulmisch, advocate, and his doctors. We are beginning to cooperate with them. And also we want to cooperate in Italian with a judge, a high court judge in Italia,
and the group called
Sofia. Yeah. And
it's probably important for you that you reach out to other countries.
Yes, because I think it's a global problem.
Yes.
It's not a problem of Israel alone.
That's what I heard, that's why I was interested in hearing you talk about this, because international cooperation in this matter is probably of importance. Well, I just have to say a big thank you to the two of you to take the time. I know it's late in Israel. Thanks a lot. And thanks a lot for Haim for joining us and for arranging this interview, because to find out the numbers, because it's not easy for me to read Hebrew. I only read English or French. But I have to say, let's hope you can come back, and please don't hesitate to send us some information. I will.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Have a nice evening to everybody.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Have a nice evening.
Yeah. Okay.
Bye, Haim.